Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lola, and today we are doing my famous, not so famous, TBR tarot game. And we are joined by Babe, adorable Babe. Hi, Babe. Say hi, Babe. Say hi. Oh. Alright, so before I get into the rules of the game and how I did last time, I am going to read out of my Encyclopedia of Spirits. All right, we have Qianlin, the Old Man of the Moon. Origin, China. Chinese folklore has a woman in the moon, but there is an old man too. Qianlin is a spirit of romance, or at least marriage. He determines marital unions. He decides who will marry whom. He records these decisions in his very large book, then connects the feet of the predestined couple to each other's with an invisible red silk thread. Ideally, that thread will lead the couple toward each other and happy matrimony. Appeal to Qianlin if that thread seems to be all tangled up or non-existent. There's a ritual here. During the marriage ceremony, bride and bridegroom pledge their troth from 2 goblets of honeyed wine tied together with red ribbons or cord. Interesting. The old man in the moon ties your feet to another person's foot. All right, so getting into the game. TBR Tarot is very simple. All I do is I use a deck of cards, a tarot deck of cards, and each card has a prompt or a specific book linked to it, and I spread all the cards, do like a classic TBR spread, and I pick from that spread. So I've been doing 5 books a month. I'm going to stick with 5 books a month for now. So 5 draws. And yeah, that's basically it for the cards. The spreadsheet will be linked down below if you're curious kind of what I do. I do try to kind of inspire myself of what the cards look like and what the cards mean to create a prompt for a book out of that. Sometimes I succeed for the month. Sometimes I decide, fuck it, I'm not going to listen to the cards. I'm going to read whatever the hell I want. And I then fail my TBR for the month. So let's look at how I did last month for the month of February. Okay, so she won't move her head. So this was the stack for last month. There are 2 books missing here that I borrowed from the library. So I did read The Push. I think I gave that one 4 stars. I read The Great Hunt, which was actually a carryover from the month of January, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. Then The Wolf and the Woodsman, I gave it 5. The Monster of Eldenhaven, I only gave it 2.5. Gregor the Overlander, 5 stars. Are we surprised? No, we're not. And Harrow the Ninth is actually, I'm not finished with it quite yet. She got annoyed. I pushed her out of the way. I'm sorry, babe. So Harrow the Ninth, I'm not quite done. Currently, it is February 21st, so I still have like a good week. So I'm pretty sure I will finish this. Thus, I am considering that I succeeded my TBR. This means I get to pull from my jar of rewards, if you want to call it that, my happy jar. So I'm gonna just kind of mix it around and grab one and see what it says. So it says a short book, less than 200 pages. I actually have a couple books that I could use for this. So yeah, keep that one in my holster, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now what I must do is pick a deck of cards. We will go heads, Vox, tails, hush, and coin. Tails. Oh, tails. So this month is hush, finally. It's been a while. Before I go into the first draw, I am also participating in the Readathon. I didn't do it before, mostly because it seemed really complicated and I was going through a lot of stuff personally, so I didn't want to try to participate in a reading vlog that looked really cool, but also kind of complicated, like had its own story within it. But now I decided to join it. I just kind of used books that I had read around the time frame that the Readathon had started. So now I'm going to actually try to participate in time, which is for, I think it's March 14th to the 20th is the gear up for Aurelium, and I kind of kicked myself in the shins a little bit because I decided I wanted 3 specific things. So I'm going to try and draw cards. Well, I'm going to hope that the cards I draw will also fill some of the prompts that I need for the Aurelium Readathon. So, with that, let's get into it. Okay, so draw number 1, I got 8 of Swords, which was a pretty cover, and I've been really meaning to read this one. Little Thieves, the Illumicrate edition, and it's got the really pretty edges. Look how shiny it is. So this is, it says, once upon a time there was a horrible girl. Vanya Schmidt knows that no gift is given freely, not even a mother's love. The adopted goddaughter of death and fortune, Vanya has long made her own way in the world as the dutiful servant of Princess Giselle. Until a year ago, when her otherworldly mothers demanded payment for their care, and Vanya decided to steal her future back by stealing Giselle's life. With the help of an enchanted string of pearls, Vanya transformed into her former mistress and took her place, leaving the real Giselle a penniless nobody. Now, Vanya leads a lonely but lucrative double life as princess and jewel thief, charming the nobility while emptying their coffers to fund her great escape. Until, one heist away from freedom, Vanya crosses the wrong god and is cursed to turn into jewels, stone by stone. With a feral guardian half-god, Giselle's sinister fiancé, and an over-eager junior detective on her trail, Vanya has just 2 weeks to pull off her biggest grift yet, or she risks losing more than her freedom. She could lose her life. This sounds really good. Draw number 2, Page of Cups, a high expectation book. So I am so glad I got this card because I really want to read The Liar's Knot. This is the sequel to The Mask of Mirrors, and I just have really high expectations for it. I loved book 1, and I really think book 2 is going to be amazing because, I just decided that it's going to be great. It says, it is a sequel, but I'm pretty sure this shouldn't give away too much, but if you don't even want to know what the second book says on the back, maybe skip a little bit. In Adezra, peace is a tenuous thing. Corrupt house in Destor has been destroyed, but darkness still weaves through the city's filthy alleys and jewel-bright gardens, visible to those who know where to look. Vargo, Gray, and Ren all know. Caught in a knot of secrets and lies, they struggle to decide whom to trust and whom to turn from. A precarious position, even for a ruthless criminal, a notorious vigilante, and a brilliant con artist. Because the power they are finding is more ancient than they can fathom, and they have yet to discover how deeply rooted its poison is. In the end, it will take more than wits and knives to cut their city free. I'm so excited. The way the second book went for me was just so... I was mesmerized by everything that was happening in that book and the twists and things, and I'm like, I can't wait for the second one. So, yes. Draw number 3, I got 5 of Wands, which is an animal prompt. Now, I didn't want to go too easy of a route. I was like, let me see if I have a book that has something other than like a cat or a bird or a typical animal. And I found one. And it's one of my 5-star predictions. Dark and Shallow Lies. There is a crocodile up here in the corner. La Cachette. Louisiana is the worst place to be if you have something to hide. This tiny town where 17-year-old Gray spends her summers is the self-proclaimed psychic capital of the world, and the place where Elora Pellerin, Gray's best friend, disappeared 6 months earlier. Gray can't believe that Elora vanished into thin air any more than she can believe that nobody in a town full of psychics knows what happened. But as she digs into the night, Elora went missing. She begins to realize that everybody in town is hiding something. Her grandmother, Honey, her childhood crush, Heart, and even her late mother, whose secrets call to Gray from beyond the grave. When a mysterious stranger emerges from the bayou, a stormy-eyed boy with links to Elora and the town's bloody history, Gray realizes that La Cachette's past is far more present and dangerous than she'd ever understood. Suddenly, she doesn't know who she can trust in a town where secrets fester just below the surface like water rot, and where a murderer is on the loose. Nobody can be presumed innocent, and La Cachette's dark and shallow lies may just rip the town apart. Yes. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Okay, so draw number 4, I got 4 of Wands, which the prompt link to that one is a wedding, mostly because the meaning of the card and also the fact that it literally looks like a wedding bouquet. The problem is that it's really hard to know if a book is going to have a wedding in it. So instead, I decided to go a route where I was feeling, okay, what is a type of romance book that I'm looking to read that I wouldn't mind reading, and that would be kind of a darker romance. And this one has been on my TBR for not too long, but it is Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. And the only thing that I see here that's on Storygraph is like almost like Wattpad romance story perspective thing. So it says Elena, and she's speaking. To most, Cal Anderson is a villain, harbinger of death, keeper of souls, frequenter of nightmares, Dr. Death, Hades incarnate. They say he stole me, usurped my fiancé, and filled the cracks in my heart with empty promises, imprinted his crimson fingerprints on my psyche, and tried to set me free. They're not wrong, per se, except it was my choice to stay. Then it's Cal's perspective. To most, Elena Ricci is an innocent, goddess of springtime, lover of poetry, angel of my nightmares, little one, Persephone personified. They say I ruined her, shattered her virtue, and devoured her soul like a succulent pomegranate, embedded my evil as deep as I could possibly get, and tried to set her free. They're not wrong per se, except it was she who ruined me. So, it's a Persephone Hades retelling. They are a married couple. So I'm going to say that it counts. I don't know if there's an actual wedding in this book, honestly. But I am seeing like a lot of people just saying that this is a very dark book. So I am prepared for these trigger warnings, I think. We shall see. I don't know how I'm even going to acquire this book. Maybe I'll look on Kindle because I don't think my library would have it. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Final draw is the Knight of Cups. This one is a book with war in it, so that doesn't mean it has to be like full-on battles and big epic explosions or whatever. It just means that there has to be some kind of war going on. And I remembered in the first book that there was mention of a war, and then around the end of the book I was like, oh shit, okay, there's a lot of fighting going on. So I'm choosing to read the sequel, House of Sky and Breath, which I heard, like, in the synopsis, I think it talks about, like, rebels and stuff, so I'm like, there's gotta be some kind of battle, war, conflict going on, right? So, gonna read the inside here. Bryce Quinlan and Hunt Athalar are trying to get back to normal. They may have saved Crescent City, but with so much upheaval in their lives lately, they mostly want a chance to relax, slow down, figure out what the future holds. The Asteri have kept their word so far, leaving Bryce and Hunt alone. But with the rebels chipping away at the Asteri's power, the threat the rulers pose is growing. As Bryce, Hunt, and their friends get pulled into the rebels' plans, the choice becomes clear. Stay silent while others are oppressed. Or fight for what's right. And they've never been very good at staying silent. And then it says, in this sexy, action-packed sequel to the #1 New York Times bestseller, House of Earth and Blood, Sarah J. Maas weaves a captivating story of a world about to explode, and the people who will do anything to save it. Sorry, I felt like being dramatic with that one. Yeah, so I'm choosing this one for war because I do think that there is stuff that was building up in the first book, and that is probably going to build up some more in here. This is a chonker. This is like 800 pages. Honestly, my stack, I'm being very ambitious. Very ambitious. All right, and finally, I do have a short book that I need to find. This was my little reward from my cup, so I need to figure that out real quick. Okay, so I'm actually really happy. I am going to add Artificial Condition, which is the second book in the Murderbot Diaries. It says here it's 160 pages, so that is under 200 pages, so it fits. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I just heard that, like, it continues to be just as great as the first one for quite a while, and it's mostly all novellas, so I really need to kick my butt and continue this series, since it is also one of my goals for the year. So now I do have to kind of assign some books for the Aurelium Readathon. So I decided for the Aurelium Readathon for March, that's the gear up part. So basically, after going through the novice path, making your character, now you're going towards the academy and you're going to need some like magical stuff. So I decided to pick 3 things. So I have 1 conduit and then 1 legacy. If you want more information on this, I'll put it down below. It's Book Roast's thing, and she has her Google document linked with all the stuff that you need to do this. So I decided to go with a spell book just because I feel like it'd be useful, and a bone. So you can have different conduits. I personally think it would be really cool if, like, I have a conduit that's bone, but instead of like a traditional like bone knife or bone staff, for it to actually be like a bone mask. And what I love is that to get the bone, you have to read a book that has either a bone on the cover or bones on the cover or in the title. And I really love that Little Thieves has the literal skull of what I would love my character to have in the Aurelium world. So this book, Little Thieves, is going to fit my prompt for read a book with a bone on the cover or bone in the title, so that I might get my bone mask, my magical bone mask. Then for my spell book, I need to read a book with at least 2 S's in the title. And for this one, I have 2 options. I can do House of Sky and Breath or Dark and Shallow Lies. Personally, because the readathon is from March 14th to March 20th, it's only like a week. Because I work so much, I do not think I can fit an 800-page book into that. That will take me more than a week. So I'm going to go with Dark and Shallow Lies for my spellbook prompt. And then, because I am in the archivists, or archivists, whatever you want to call it, the Archivists Guild, I can pick a god to make a pact with to like have certain magical abilities, and I chose Velenus, which is the god of like death and rebirth. And for that one, to be able to complete that, I need to read a book with high stakes in it. Now, the thing is that Dark and Shallow Lies and Little Thieves, I personally don't think are going to have very high stakes. I mean, Dark and Shallow Lies maybe, but you also don't want to double up on books for these prompts because, I mean, you can. Obviously, there are no real rules to this, but I personally feel like I should do one book for each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick The Liar's Knot for high stakes, because the first book, people died that I did not expect to die, and I feel like in this book, probably gonna happen again. I don't know what most people constitute high stakes as. Like, maybe some people are like, oh, the main character has to die, or someone super, super important has to die. For me, high stakes is more that, like, there's the constant threat of this could fucking happen. And that for me is high stakes. Just knowing that there's that on the line, and The Liar's Knot fits that for me quite a bit. So those will be my books to complete the Aurelium Gear Up readathon. I'm going to struggle the month of March. So this is my stack for March. Just add in, you know, the two other books that I do not have right now. Yeah, I'm probably not going to complete this for the month of March, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to enjoy myself. I feel like I'm going to really enjoy myself this month. I am projecting that for myself. That is it for me. I have a very sleepy dog next to me. I think she wants her bed back. So I hope that you have a great rest of your month. The vlog for February, where you will get to see everything that I read and all my thoughts on them, will be up around mid-March, if everything goes to plan. So keep your eye out for that. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.